All right, I just got finished watching UFC 266, and well, man, what a crazy card. James and I is going to discuss it now, so check it out.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Yamatodamashii podcast. Today, we're talking UFC 266 after what was one hell of a card with an awesome main event. And it was kind of how we predicted, Enson, that we said it was going to be a wicked show with great fights. And I think exactly it was just that.
Yeah, it was good, huh?
It was something else.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, what we're going to do is we're just going to look back at the card, look back at some of the highlights, and we're going to also talk about some of our picks. I was tracking how well we did, so we'll have a look at that as well. So we're going to kick straight off into the first fight that kicked off the main card, which was Cynthia Calvillo fighting versus Jessica Andrade. What did you think of Cynthia's performance? Because obviously going in, you picked Cynthia. I did as well. What did you think? Because it didn't quite go how I expected it to. Obviously, didn't go how Cynthia expected it to. But I'm curious to get your opinion, maybe on some of the footwork as well. Just what you saw from like a technical point of view first. And
well, I thought the biggest problem was probably the power of Jessica Andrade. Mm-hmm. I think Cynthia might have probably was a little surprised on how much power she had. Because I noticed like Cynthia had a super crisp jab. A lot of things was giving Jessica some trouble. But as soon as Jessica just launched up and started throwing some stuff, it put Cynthia on like a back pedal, yeah. Mm-hmm. So she was. It seemed like after she felt the power a little bit, it felt like she was a little bit tentative to sit on some of her punches because Cynthia has great striking. Mm-hmm. And every time Jessica would come forward, she would be moving backwards. So I think there was a little bit of a hesitation or a little insecurity of, getting hit by Jessica's power. So, I mean, maybe thinking about the fight, maybe I might have underestimated the power that Jessica has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think because you could see, because in the beginning she was like starting to build a bit of a rhythm, but then I think when she got hit with the shots, it was kind of like sort of threw it a bit out there, to be fair. So but great performance by both fighters anyway. I think I'm gutted that didn't get the pick right, but I'm sure both fighters will look to fight again. It's interesting actually that obviously Jessica Andrade has already fought Shevchenko. And so when they said, who do you want next? She was actually talking about going back to 115. I think she mentioned Rose. I think she mentioned Weili Zhang. So that's kind of cool that she's going back to that division.
I actually didn't see that.
Oh, no. Yeah, she just mentioned it sort of. It was quite quick in the sort of in the post-fight interview. So that's kind of exciting.
I did see Cynthia's post on Instagram where it was kind of nice to see because, I was wondering what her mental state and her spirit was at. And she said something like, thank you everyone for, supporting her. And she's going to, get back in the gym and get back on it. So it's like, she has it didn't discourage her in any way. In fact, it might have gave her some incentive. And she's at Extreme Couture's, and the guys there, Eddie and Eric, all those guys, they have such a super good team. Mm-hmm. I mean, the team that they have isn't just technically really good. They're spiritually like a family. When I go in there, I love the way they run their gym because it's like a family. It's like it's like a team, but more of a team is like a family. It's like I love the camaraderie they have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's exactly what you want after coming off a loss, really, right? You're just going to feel better.
Yeah.
If you have,
it's a good home to be at when you need the support.
That's cool. Well, hopefully she bounces back, and I'm looking forward to seeing her fight again. Moving on to the next fight on the main card was Curtis Blaydes fighting Jairzinho Rosenstruck. We both had picked Blaydes, but we both had talked about whether he would be a little bit gun shy because of coming off the loss with Derek Lewis. What did you think of Blaydes' performance?
Yeah, I did think he was a little playing it safe, which was really good. So I almost feel like the gun shyness actually helped his game. It seemed he was playing the distance, wasn't getting too reckless with anything. And when he did what I thought would probably the best game plan for him was to take him down and work him on the ground. So I mean, I did think he might have, he lost 2 in a row, right? Knockouts. So I mean, the fact that he is gun shy, I think it's I don't know if gun shy might be the right words to use.
Yeah,
but he is a little more safe or a little more hesitant on just going in, which is good because he's in the heavyweight division. So you can't be too reckless. So I think I actually, that fight was actually exactly how I thought it would go.
Yeah, the Rosenstruck definitely had his moments. Obviously he Blaydes' eye at the end was really like, doctor could have jumped in on that. So he got lucky that he sort of got in and got out while he could in that sense before like a doctor maybe might have stopped it. But yeah, the fans are a little bit harsh on that, booing them. They seemed a little bit I don't know. Sometimes the UFC fans are a little bit spoiled, like when it comes to suddenly booing. I was a bit
when you see fans booing at that kind of times, and like when they're on the ground and they start booing, for me it just shows their lack of knowledge in the sport. The more knowledge they'll get in the sport, the more they'll understand the intricacy in everything about the sport, the stand-up, the takedowns, the ground, but when people just want the simple punching and hitting someone in the face and attacking and aggression, it just shows that if they don't enjoy, they don't really know the sport. A lot of times Dana comes out and he says stuff like if you guys thought that fight was boring, you guys didn't enjoy that fight, you guys should watch another sport. Dana's kind of straight up with that. But I feel that way too. Yeah, there's a lot of people who boo, and most of the people booing or criticizing are people that never got into the ring or sometimes never even played a sport. So I mean, the land of America is the land of the free. You can do what you want, so I guess you can boo too.
I guess, right. It's weird how it sort of varies between markets as well, like different where, depending on where they are sort of in the world or in the US, it's kind of, you seem to get.
That's what I love about Japan. They're very intellectual about the game. And you can actually sit and you can hear your cornerman in Japan fights, and then when the guy say they go to the ground and the guy passes a guard, you can hear the Japan crowd go, whoa, there's like so it's like, wow, they really appreciate the nitty-gritty details of the ground technique. So I really like that about the Japan crowd.
Yeah, Japanese fans always seem to respect the whole game rather than just the stand-up. There's a so it's always cool when you see them pop for the transitions. But then we had one of the fights that was obviously garnered a lot of interest coming into the fight, which was Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. We actually split our picks on this one. You went with Diaz, I went with Lawler. But I think we both felt like this one could have gone either way anyway. And it was a bit of unknown with how long that Nick had been off for, but it was I really enjoyed the fight. I thought they were just going at it from round one. What did you think of the fight?
Well, I thought Nick looked a little slow. So I thought probably a lot of time off. 6 years is a long time, and I'm not sure if I'm almost started wondering if he had enough preparation or if he had an injury or something went wrong in the preparation, because he didn't seem like the normal Nick that I know. It was a little slow. Was his hands were pretty much the same, but his footwork was it wasn't balanced as well. So and Robbie Lawler's Robbie Lawler. He takes a punch, comes in, and keeps trying to hurt you. So I knew Robbie Lawler was going to be like that. It was a matter of if Nick Diaz could stick enough and hurt Robbie enough to slow him down a little bit. But it came out that I think his stamina was a little bit shot. I think Robbie had a good game plan by going to the body.
Mhm.
And that really played a toll on Nick. So it's
Yeah,
one of those, man. I just hope that it's not like just going to discourage Nick from coming back. I hope it's like a comeback, and it's a little bit of a wake up call for his next fight.
yeah, I
What did you
definitely
think
hope
about it?
so. Yeah, I enjoyed the fight. And I agree with everything you just said. I think definitely I think it was a kick first that hit him in the body. And then sort of after that, Lawler sort of realized, damn, I think I got him with that, and kind of started to target it a bit more. But um yeah, I mean, I definitely leading up to the fight, Diaz kind of alluded to that there was like a lot going on, like in his personal life and with like training partners and management teams and stuff like that. And he kind of even said it in the sort of post-fight interview as well. So definitely
Yeah.
seemed like
Oh, he did. I
something.
gotta listen to that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely seemed like something was kind of, I don't know, just not quite there. But I really enjoy watching him fight. I think personally, even if it's not in the UFC, I think there's still some good fights left for Diaz to fight. Like when I was thinking
Oh,
about it, I was kind of thinking, you know, because in the UFC, I think it would be a bit of a challenge because he fought at 185, and I don't know. Maybe if he went down to 170, maybe they could do like a Mike Perry fight, which could be fun. If he wants to stay at 185, maybe Kelvin Gastelum. But again, those might be a bit of a challenge based on this performance. But one of the things that I was thinking actually, which could be cool, is I always enjoyed the Anderson Silva versus Nick Diaz fight, right? And Anderson Silva still looks pretty good in boxing. So maybe, a Diaz Silva 2 in boxing or something could be kind of fun for the fans. So
or I guess I just really like to watch Diaz fight. So I would go for like a Diaz Jake Paul, a Diaz Anderson Silva, a Diaz Mastival,
yeah,
a
yeah,
Diaz Connor, Nick Connor, so there's for me personally, there's a lot that I would enjoy seeing.
yeah,
And I'm sure,
definitely.
Nick's a veteran. There's a little, I don't know if it was rust or movement or a little bit of something that we don't know that might have caused his performance to be a little bit not up to par.
Hmm.
I'm sure if he's planning to fight again next time in the ring, he'll probably correct a lot of the stuff that he needs to correct and probably come back a lot better. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I hope this fight didn't discourage him making a full comeback because he
Yeah,
does have only a little more time.
yeah, definitely. And like even like Bellator, if UFC decides to let him go, there's some names they could do the Daly fight again. That was always a classic fight with him and Paul Daly. And yeah, and maybe even like an MVP or something. Like still, there's plenty of fun
Yeah, that
fights.
would be good too.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There's with Nick, like you say, there's plenty of fun fights to make out there. Where do you think Robbie Lawler goes next? Like, he's in a very unique position in his career, I think.
Yeah, I actually before this fight, I thought Robbie Lawler was kind of on his way out,
Mhm.
but man, he looked good.
Yeah, he
I
did.
mean, he looked really good. He looked strong. He looked like he had good stamina. He was still hitting hard. He still could take the punches really well. I'd love to see Robbie get back in there. I'd love to see him mix with the current, top rankers
Mhm.
and see how that goes. I think Robbie Lawler on any given day can beat anybody.
Yeah, he's got that sort of drive for him. You can see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him fight again. And yeah, I don't know who they'll match him up with against. I think that'll be an interesting one. We'll see who his next fight
Yeah,
is.
it would be. Yeah.
Moving on to the co-main event, and you want to talk about strong performances. Valentina Shevchenko does it again. I think that's 6 title defenses now, which is something else. That is, when you start reaching those sort of numbers, that's pretty. It's hard enough to get a UFC belt, right? And then to actually defend it 6 times is something else. But what did you think of Valentina's performance? And obviously, Lauren Murphy, was pretty game as well. What was your overall impression?
Well, Valentino was just so on her game, timings, distance, combinations, different attacks from different angles. Whatever Lauren did, she'd come back harder. Went to the ground, dominated on the ground. I thought maybe Lauren, working with, she's a Henzo Gracie student. I thought that maybe getting the ground would be more of her in her league. Like when Shevchenko took her down, I was saying, "Oh, okay, maybe Lauren has a chance," but no, it didn't look that good for her on the ground either. And I just think that Shevchenko's timing, her accuracy of her punches, I think it pretty much turned off a lot of Lauren Murphy's aggression because she's usually more balls out, coming in, taking shots, and taking more chances. But for some reason in this fight, it seemed she was a little more tentative, playing a little bit more safe. So yeah, for me, I thought that maybe she had a chance just going balls out and trying to catch her with something, but I guess being in there and feeling the timing and the accuracy and power of Shevchenko, it doesn't seem like a good idea when you're in there on the other end of the punches.
Yeah, that's it. She just seems like such a good counter striker, right? So that Valentina can be super offensive, but also just catch you with the counters as well. And that's why, I don't know, maybe like you say, it just sort of nullifies Lauren's offense a bit. Maybe it's just hard, I guess. It's just Lauren's that good, but Valentina's just a whole nother level.
Yeah, I think it's just the timing, her aggression, she stays right in the distance, and if you come in, she steps one back and just comes back with a counter. I mean, so accurate, so effective, and she I was talking with Sarah. It almost looks like she's a step ahead of everybody. She sees what they're going to do. So, man, it's like we thought we were pretty sure that Shevchenko was going to win, but we did entertain the fact that having Lauren Murphy shake up the division, add a little excitement, a little bit of a little twist to the division, it's just been so all Shevchenko, man. It's like who did she fight now,
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, they're talking again about doing Amanda Nunes. That's always the talk that comes up, right? Like the fact that Amanda's got Juliana Pena coming up, I think in November. And then maybe, they go down that route of doing that fight one more time, which would be huge. It'd probably be one of the biggest women's MMA fights of all time, I think.
I think that's the only fight that they can do for Shevchenko that actually makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people in the rankings still knocking about Alexa Grasso, but I think just see. Yeah, that's it. I mean, when you look that dominant as a champion, it's a bit like when Demetrius Johnson was champion as well, right? It kind of got to the point where it was like, well, who do we bring in? So
I say Shevchenko versus Jake Paul.
I don't like Jake's chances on that.
That would be really interesting because Jake's so much bigger, and Jake's not no pushover. He's not just an internet dude. He can actually punch. He's actually taking boxing seriously. So maybe to make it a little even, maybe a MMA fight with Jake and Shevchenko.
That's gonna be some like fight circus thing or something. I don't know who's gonna book it, but that would be.
I know. I don't think anybody will. Man against woman, that would just rock the whole world. I don't think they would allow that. But you never know, man. This crazy world today, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. It's but no, super impressive. It's amazing. She's just kind of like when you watch her fight, it almost looks like she's sort of working out math problems because it's just super like in her head.
Yeah.
You just see it, so it's always fun to watch a fight, even if it can be
amazing.
Kind of
He's amazing.
So, the big one, the main event, Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. Going into this on the prediction show, we did say that you picked Volkanovski. You felt that he was just going to have enough heart and to grit and to get through the fight, and I sort of went back and forth a bit, but settled on Ortega with the idea that maybe he would catch him in a submission, catch him slipping, catch him just something out of nowhere, because I felt like he has that sort of jiu-jitsu game. Wow. I was close, but no cigar.
You're actually right. It's just the way we're watching Viking now, so it's just the way the gods planned it. The gods laid it out,
Yeah, it was just super. It was, oh man, what a great fight though, right? It was after round one, I was thinking, I did, because sometimes you try and score fights, right, as you watch them. I was like, I kind of didn't even think about what that first round will be scored at, because I just got into the fight so much that I just kind of forgot about that. And then so I was like, right, round 2, I'm going to try and score this a bit more, like keep it in my head. So then at the end, I can easily know who I think won the fight. And then round 3 happened, and that went out the window completely.
Man, round 3, I think might have been one of the best rounds I think it's the best
year,
round in the year, man, so far. If not more than just this year.
Yeah.
That was a crazy round, man.
Yeah, I'm super curious to know what you think, because so many of your fights, you had moments like that with Ortega, just like Ortega did, right? Where you would just like snap on a submission out of nowhere. Obviously, the Randy Couture fight is like the biggest one where that one went your way. But I mean, what does it take from a fighter's mentality to really, I don't know, because MMA, you're kind of 1 minute you're striking, and then to suddenly jump to a different discipline and to be able to snap on a submission like that. Like, how much mental toughness does it take to really perform at that level to do that sort of thing?
Well, it's actually spirit breaking when you actually got something in pretty good like Ortega did, and you're cranking it, and you're feeling him. You're hearing him start to gurgle, and you watch Volkanovski's his legs, how he was kicking, and his hands are swinging. You could see that he was in a very like a last ditch effort, panic effort. He was freaking out. It was pretty damn close. And it was to a point where I was just pretty much thinking already that, okay, is he going to tap or go to sleep? It was actually to that point where I was saying, wow, Ortega's, that's his go-to move.
Yeah.
So Ortega grabs in the guillotine. That's probably not a very good sign. And, at the level that Ortega's at, if he's trying to crank the guillotine, he's probably got it in pretty good. Good guys, like good guys that know how to do submissions. If they're doing an armbar, they won't force an armbar if they have it. They'll readjust or regain position. The fact that he continued with the guillotine for so long and cranked, I mean, I believed it was in. And I think Volkanovski just toughed it out and scrambled out of it, man, because that was it was one of those things that that it could have went either way. Right there could have ended the fight, but it didn't. Yeah. So, the thing that's really hard for that is you get the two sides of each fighter. You got Volkanovski, where it's like there's a rush of energy. The rush of energy that you just was in one of his best moves and you got out. So you know that there's a little dent in his spirit. And then you got Brian Ortega, who just cranked a long guillotine. And if anyone who knows grappling, whenever you got a deep triangle or a good guillotine and you're cranking it, thinking you're going to finish it, it burns your arms. So not only physically burning his arms, psychologically, this is what he wanted. This is where he wanted to get him. And he had him. This is like the plan, do whatever you want and once you get a chance, get him in your hold. And he did. And he, not finishing it is morally defeating. So you could see, after the third round and after the fourth round, you could see that, he was spiritually, he was in a very bad place, to a point where when you got the doctors talking to him, it was borderline. You're thinking that he's almost like doesn't want to fight. So I was watching what he was answering. A lot of times he was like, "Oh, I think I can see." He used that. He always added in something. I think. It wasn't like, "No, I'm good. I can see. I think I'll be okay." He used those words that showed a lot of doubt. And sometimes, when the referee or doctor is asking you a question, they're not necessarily seeing what the answer is. They're watching your demeanor. They're watching your spirit. They're watching your eyes. And I thought there was a real borderline, that seeing the way his body language was and the way he was giving his answers was showing that he didn't want to fight. So I think there's a good chance that his spirit was in a very bad place and it was about to fold. And, as you watch the fifth round and it answers your question, did he fold? And hell no, he didn't. I think he had this little battle inside. Like I call the Yamatodamashii moment, where you're having this battle of, you really think that you're done and you're either going to push through or you're going to fold. And I think he actually had those moments in that ring, which is, it's like a divining point. It's a real important point for a man to go through. But man, that was like, he went through both. He had the guillotine deep, burned his upper body.
Mhm.
Then he fell to a triangle.
Yeah.
Had the triangle pretty deep. It wasn't as long as the guillotine, but he had the triangle pretty deep and was cranking it, and that definitely burned his legs. So I was really thinking that, man, he's might be done, because he's not only physically burned his upper body and his lower body, he's also been morally, smashed.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
ground
you
pound as
can't hit
well,
him in the
physically.
last two. I mean, what other, like, for Ortega especially, he's finished so many guillotines, he's finished so many triangles. If you could pick a position to put Volkanovski in, would be a triangle or a guillotine. And he got both, and he got out. So, man, I think for Ortega, winning or losing the fight, more than that, I think it was a huge victory for himself that he kept going, he kept fighting, and I think he did better in the fifth round than he did in the fourth round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Even to like the last minute of the fight, he was still landing the shots, like going all out. He looked like he ready for round 6 in some senses. But yeah, I just think it was an outstanding performance by both guys, to be honest. Because as you say, like Volkanovski getting caught in that guillotine and just it looks so close. Like I don't know enough about jiu-jitsu, but even me, the sort of simpleton, to see how the sort of arm under the chin, like you can see that does not look very nice.
You see his head changing colors.
Yeah,
He
it's
got
just
beat red, so that means the blood's getting cut off. Yeah.
mhm. But yeah, no,
So
I just
what was really interesting, I want to point out, is Sarah made a point that, how Volkanovski really didn't like Ortega.
mhm,
I mean, there was a point in the pre-fight press conference where he asked Volkanovski if, you know would this, after the fight, would you be able to, can you think of yourself being a friend of Ortega? And he said no.
mhm,
No way. He said that he's not a good man. He really disliked him as a person. And he said he didn't have he's not professional. I think he didn't train. He would make light training, skip trainings. That's why he kept saying he only has yes men around him. So I think it was interesting where Sarah pointed out that, when the doctor was talking to Ortega after the third round, and then after the fourth round also, and he had a very easy route to cop out of the fight. He said, "Oh, I can't see," and that's not saying I don't want to fight. That's just saying answering their questions.
mhm,
Or he could have distinctively made it to a point where they would stop the fight, not at him giving up, but him stopping. He had a way out to run away from the continue with the fight. And the fact that he didn't take that, I think Masara was saying that she sees that, and I agree that I feel like, he saw that, and he knew that he had a way out, and he didn't take it. And I think Volkanovski found a new sense of respect for Brian Ortega. So that was really interesting. That's a lot of things that, the the simple fan doesn't see. You just see the
mhm.
fight. You just see, oh, he's gonna stop. He continued, yeah. But there's a lot into that.
Mhm.
You share a ring, you share the battlefield. You go in trying to kill each other, and then you see that kind of stuff happening. There's a bond that happens. So it was real interesting because Volkanovski really had no interest in being personal friends with Brian, but you could tell after the fight, he said that, he feels stupid for some of the things he said, and
Mhm.
he kind of had some good things to say. So that was
Yeah.
really interesting. There was a real big spiritual, psychological battle going on in there.
Yeah, yeah, you can see that definitely. Ortega earned Volkanovski's respect after the fight. And to be honest,
Yeah.
I think maybe later down the line it will maybe happen again. I think there'll be some fights in between, but I think with that fight, there was the clash of heads in round 2 as well. We didn't really see it on the replays, but that could have played an effect in terms of damage to Ortega. So I think that maybe it will go in terms of what's next for the guys. So obviously, I think Volkanovski's next fight is kind of pretty much in the line. It's going to be whoever wins Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. Um, and yeah, I mean, how do you see Holloway Yair fight going?
Yair's tough, man. Yair's a real unorthodox fighter. He comes at, he's not easy fighter to plan for. Max, on the other hand, is well-rounded all over, a freaking warrior. I'm biased. I'd like to see Max win. I'd like to see a rematch with him and Volkanovski, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that fight has just got win-win written all over it for the fans. Like the striking in Rodriguez and Holloway is just going to be off the chain. Featherweight, I think, is definitely one of the most exciting divisions right now. But I
Yeah,
tell you
it
what,
is. Yeah.
I was thinking what's next for Ortega, and I kind of think maybe him versus Calvin Qatar could be a really good fight. Calvin's coming off
That'll
the
be a
loss
good
to
fight too.
Holloway.
Yeah.
They're both super tough guys, so hopefully, I always used to like that. I think Joe Silva always used to be kind of keen on doing guys, winners versus winners, and people coming off a loss versus people coming off a loss. I think that kind of matchmaking makes sense. So I'm kind of I hope they can make that fight, and the featherweight division continues to grow. Obviously, there's the Georgian kickboxer Giga lurking in the background as well. So it's
exciting. I mean, 260 UFC 266 did not disappoint.
It did not. It did not. It was
And the
also
main
pretty.
event was a main event. You know what I mean? Sometimes a co-main event or something overshadows the main event. The main event was the main event, man. That was unbelievable.
One of the cool things, actually, which I was happy to see, and I don't know whether this is going to be a trend moving forward a little bit. I hope so, but maybe it could just be because it was the Hall of Fame. But what I'm getting at is that we saw Mark Coleman there, we saw Baz Rutten there. When they did the UFC, when they did the Diaz versus Lawler fight, they kind of were showing some older clips of their fights in the earlier days of the UFC. I'm hopeful that they're going to start doing more around the history and more showcasing some of the stuff that's happened, so that the newer fans of this ESPN era, as people are calling it, get to see some of these moments, and maybe they'll go out and look for them themselves. What did you think about that? Did you, any thoughts on hopefully that maybe it's moving in that direction?
Well, yeah, I always believe that the sport needs to appreciate the pioneers. You know, I mean, Mark Coleman, Hoist Gracie, Boss Luton, maybe not as much as Mark and Hoist, but yeah, those guys are total pioneers, and without them, the sport wouldn't be where it is today. So, I mean, for fans not to know these legends is not bad because they're just following the sport as it is. But for the someone like Dana White, the promoter, the fighters, the other fighters, to not really appreciate or even mention these guys is kind of disappointing. I mean, these guys. Mark Coleman, man, he was like one of the catalysts of the UFC. He was like the first ever really, really dominant champion. So I wish they would pay more respect to the guy. The only time they do is in the Hall of Fame. That's like one night, and after that page is turned, and it seems like they're sitting in the back seat again. I wish that would change a little.
Yeah, definitely, I agree as well. It's always one where I think they sort of drop the ball a little bit, and I can never understand it because guys like Dana White, people that are involved in the UFC now, time is going to move on and it's going to surpass them, and they're not going to be involved. So it makes sense to constantly showcase your history so that your history, your personal history as well, lives on forever. So hopefully, this is a bit more of a trend, and I think given the fact of how we've had all these sort of like Triller fights where we've seen like Tito, Vitor, Mike Tyson, lots of legends sort of come out and go for fighting. Lots of people have sort of gravitated towards it and been keen to sort of see what happens. So maybe that's kind of the UFC thinking, actually, there is a market here. We should do something with it. So fingers crossed. Anyway.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the card before we wrap this up?
No, not really. All the other fights, we watched pretty much all of them. Good fights, good levels. I was really impressed with I sorry, I don't know her name, but the lady who beat Roxy Modafferi.
Talia Santos, I think it was.
Damn. She was like standing and her ground and her standing, man. Whew. What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we didn't even talk about it, the Morales fight.
Oh yeah, the Marlon Moraes fight was insane. Is it
Marlon
Mira?
Morales, yeah.
Man, that was a
That
great
was
fight.
unbelievable. Like to that a fight in the main event, man. Whew,
Yeah,
that was some of the best fights for the year, man, for
Yeah.
sure, man.
definitely.
Yeah, that was unreal too. So yeah, there's a lot of I mean, I like the way it's going. I like what the UFC is doing. I mean, it's nice to see that full crowd in there.
hmm
So hopefully everything gets back to where it is. And I mean, the Corona's still always hovering. Misha Tate's fight just got canceled
Who,
because she
sorry?
caught COVID. Misha Tate was supposed to fight.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, so her fight got canceled because of COVID. So COVID's still lingering.
It
There's
is.
little flashes of fresh air where you see it all back to normal,
hmm
but it's
Yeah,
still around. So it's still kind of sitting on the edge yet.
yeah. It's not quite in the clear, but hopefully soon. Great. Well, in terms of our picks, we actually did the same. I think we went 3-2.
Did Sarah beat us?
Did Sarah beat us? So
What did you?
Sarah,
Oh, you went 3-2 too, yeah.
yeah, because Sarah picked Rosenstruck, I believe.
Yeah, she went with
So,
Rosenstruck. Yeah.
but yeah, we obviously did the picks for the last one. So thank you to the person that put in the comments about the upload error that happened there. That was something to do with the export of the video, but it won't happen again. So, but yeah,
We'll do it again next big card. We'll talk about it again. I think that went really well. Unfortunately, everyone couldn't hear it, but I mean, some people did. 16 people did, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, no, we will work. We'll probably do it a lot sooner to give people enough time to sort of watch it before the card. And yeah, and like we said, we might do some Ryzen stuff as well, which I'm looking forward to. There's supposed to be a Ryzen card next weekend, I think, but I'm waiting to hear how I can watch it in the UK.
Actually, I think October 2nd. Yeah, there's a Rising card.
Yeah, that's next Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's got Asakura fighting on it.
Asakura's fighting in the main event against Hagiwara.
Yeah. So that's that'll be a really exciting
That'd be a good fight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I think that just about does it for this episode. So thanks everybody for watching, and we will talk again soon.
Yeah. And anybody want to know what that noise all was? That's right there. Okay, so it was snoring, and you guys might have heard gurgling or whatever, but that's right there. The victim, the culprit. I mean, just so that you guys know, man. It wasn't our sound system. It wasn't our internet or anything. It was cowgirl.
Background ambience.
Yep.
so soothing. Hopefully, he hasn't put the viewers to sleep. But
yeah, I know.
Awesome. Right. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll speak again soon.
Right on.